also true is that no matter how challenged a marriage might be, no matter how clueless couples feel when you meet them, over the course of their lives and their marriages, they have undoubtedly solved hundreds of thousands of problems successfully at home, at work, with each other, with their kids, and other people in their lives. And although people don't know everything they need to know about having successful relationships, they always know more than they think they know. They are reservoirs of knowledge, resources, skills, and solutions that should be tapped into, highlighted, and applauded. And I'm convinced that one of the best and most powerful ways of re-energizing people and restoring hope is to point them to what they already know and to show them the resources within. Let me give you an example. When I met Paul, he felt pretty shattered. He was having both marital problems and difficulties at work. Now, Paul was a business owner, and he was losing employees because of, as he put it, he had an anger problem. He told me that he'd been an angry person most of his life, and he frequently alienated people. And as I listened to Paul, I got a sense that he believed that he didn't have an anger problem. He was anger incarnate. His sense of despair was palpable. After Paul gave me several examples of his poor impulse control, I asked him if he'd ever been in trouble with the law. Somewhat surprised by my question, he responded, "Well, no." And I said, "Well, that's interesting. Why not?" And he replied, "Well, I'm not that much of a maniac." And I told him, "Well, that's intriguing. Now you got me curious. Why aren't you that much of a maniac?" And he puzzled about my question for a moment, and then he said, "Well, I guess reason has to kick in at some point." And so I said, "Well, let me get this straight then. You're here because you want your reason to kick in at an earlier juncture, is that right?" He said, "Yeah, that's exactly right." So when Paul sat down, he saw himself as a skillless and out-of-control man, but in 10 minutes, he had a different vision. A vision of a man who, in fact, did have self-control, had boundaries for his anger, and in reality knew exactly what to do in order to keep his cool. He didn't need new skills or a personality overhaul. He just needed to learn how to tweak the skills he already had. And I think that's a little bit different, don't you? Look, I never think of myself as an objective information gatherer, and I don't really know what it means to do an intake, because scientists in all fields know that it's impossible to collect data without influencing it as you're collecting the data. And that's true of our work with couples as well. So from the moment I meet people, I know that I'm intervening. My questions are interventions. And that's a good thing, because one of the main reasons that couples get hopeless is the stories that they tell themselves about stuckness, and they say it over and over and over. It's just like a trance induction. They believe in their stories of stuckness, but I don't. I look at their stories about their marriages as a work in progress. I know that how I respond, what I ask about, what I'm interested in, what I find insignificant, can dramatically morph their story into a new, more hopeful story in one fell swoop, just like it did with Paul. Another method for helping people tap into their own solutions